Oh, there she is, our special guest.
Hey, what's up?
Hi.
Get in the clouds. Get in the
Yes, I love the clouds. Look at this. Come on, special effects.
clouds. Yes, get in the clouds with me. Why not?
Yeah, listen, as crazy as this week been, we all need to be in some damn clouds. Yes.
I mean, be high on life. Be high
Yeah.
on alcohol. Shoot. Be high
Listen,
on
okay.
all that other
Listen.
stuff, but stay high,
Yeah,
Stay high.
yeah, you know, it was funny. I had an appointment with my nutritionist earlier today, and she said, you know, the thing is, it's not it's not a problem. She said there isn't an issue with getting high. The issue is what you choose to get high from. You know what I mean? So, you know, if your drug of choice is exercise or you know, things that make you healthy but, you know, give you that release, it's not a problem. But if it's, you know, if you're chemical dependent or a few other things that are unhealthy, then we have a problem. So I love that you gave that advice to the folks. But thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You
It's
know,
been a
it's
long
fun.
time because we were in contact with each other like in the past, and
Right.
but now it's like every what you were doing in the past is now it's being more it's 2020 and
Right.
it's like okay, it's time. It's time
Yeah,
now.
it's absolutely, and you know, it's almost like I'm getting back to what I really wanted the site to be, because I wanted it to be a site where I could support artists as much as I possibly could, but at first it was really about just promoting the shows, and then I'm like, if I could get the time to do an interview, I can. But now that we don't got no damn shows, it's like now I get to actually tell the story of artists who are from or living in Philly who are, you know, trying to get through this weird time that we're in. You know what I mean? And to
Yeah.
tell the fans like what the hell's really going on, because the movie, you notice that the media is not really telling
Right,
it.
right. Well, what's going on is that everything kind of has changed in how we've done shows, and and how we promote ourselves, and how we make money, and how we just fulfill that thing within us, that we can't fulfill alone at home.
Mm.
It's like the being on stage aspect of it, getting
Yeah.
that feedback right back, like that instant feedback and that instant gratification of performing. That's being altered right now. But
Mhm.
with that said, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I feel all the reasons why I was uncomfortable doing shows or didn't like doing shows or whatever, and I love to perform. It's all the other stuff, that
Yeah.
that's all eliminated right now. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting in the studio where I want to do a show, where I feel most comfortable. It's almost like um, cooking in your own kitchen.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
The
That's
food's
good.
better. You know the pots and the pans well. You know that stove. You know where your ingredients are, so things can happen faster.
Yeah.
Um, and you're just more comfortable. So for me, I would always say like, oh, I wish I could do shows and literally after the last note, walk off stage, out the door, grab my check and get in the car and go home and then get back in bed and be like, fine again.
Yeah.
And it's because sometimes all the shenanigans around the show make
Yeah.
you not comfortable, you know?
Interesting. Yeah.
And because I like to sing. Don't get me wrong. I love to sing. I like to perform. I love to perform. Um, but I don't necessarily like all the attention when I'm not doing it. Like literally
Hmm.
when I'm not doing it. If I'm right before the show, it's like, you're going to get a certain amount of attention because people are there to see you. But I don't really like talking to people before the show.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
people want to talk to you before the show. So it's like, oh, that's a little uncomfortable. Or you don't like the green room. I know that's kind of like a first world issue or whatever, but
Yeah.
sometimes it smells, or you're like, I'm one of those people. I don't like sitting on seats that have cushions, like the cushion out of it.
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm like, I'm like a, I'm not even a germaphobe, but I just get weird on stuff like that. So it's little
Yeah.
things like that now that we're in this environment where we have to do shows like just through the phone or through online, I actually appreciate it. I'm finding that I perform more. Like I'm doing more IG lives, and I'll probably will do one after we perform. I mean, after we talk.
Oh, wonderful! Yes. So stay on, everybody.
Yes, it's safe
Um,
for sure.
so I mean, are you finding more appreciation for your own material? So like, because now
Yeah.
that you're and I know you and Steve McKee is a great friend of ours. We interviewed Steve in our early days of Anderson Street, and you guys have been doing those together. So like, are you finding, or like, are you finding that you're digging into your own crates and finding songs that like, oh, I need to add this. I can't wait to perform this on stage. Like, how has that process been?
I'm at that point right now, actually, where I did a few live streams on Instagram that were really successful, and I did like a quarantine fest, the music fest that
Yeah.
and I did something for Philly Love. They were
Yeah.
raising for COVID and stuff, and for the musicians that are affected by it. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I'll do a 2-hour set,
Yeah.
line, and after that, the people are telling me what they want to hear, just like they're talking to us right now through the chat, like right now on my list, I have to add Rhiannon, like basically the Fleetwood Mac covers, and I
Yes.
need to add the song called On My Way that was
Okay.
on like, a bootleg record of mine called Black Girls Rock that I personally bootlegged. And then there's it was another song, I forget, but it just makes you say, okay, well maybe I need to use this opportunity to just sing all of these songs, because at some point I loved them. That's why I sang them. And so now it's like, okay, this is like the perfect opportunity to be able to perform them and for people to enjoy them and like them and not like them, comment, and I can get that instant information,
Yeah.
and to what else they want to hear.
Well,
And
you've been
actually,
well. Listen, you've been performing your ass off, so I'd be shocked if anybody is giving you any negative feedback, and if they are, they
well,
probably.
no, I mean, I haven't gotten any negative feedback, but I'm still open to it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not above it. I'm not perfect. I'm not Patti LaBelle. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
feel like I got room to grow, and I got some like constructive criticism just today saying that I probably should, pull out my guitar and practice more and actually play some records, on the guitar. So, all that kind of information, I'm like, and criticism and stuff, I'm all here for. I try to take the good and the bad.
Yeah, yeah. So the funny thing is, if I can just switch gears just a little bit, I was sharing with the folks who joined early that I was slightly nervous about this interview. And I was nervous because it's so weird that I have this platform now and I get to talk to people who I grew up listening to at the age 13, 14, and would never in a million years would have thought that I would get to meet and chat with. And so I would just love to ask you, like, do you realize how groundbreaking of an artist that you are?
Sometimes.
Mm.
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I just think about, and most times I think about the people that helped me get to this point. Like when people say to me, I don't really think it's me. I think, oh, you don't know all the teammates that I had, that helped me become who I am, and who you think I am, and who I promoted and what I promoted, and because it's not just me, I sang the song, but I think about, okay, when I sing songs, I think about my first voice teacher, Rita Cabell, and I think about when I perform and people are like, oh my God, you're a good performer. I think you should have saw me at 7 years old walking in Rita Cabell's office, or her place of business, her music room where she did her lesson. And I literally sang every song like this. Like golden boy, but then there's girls like me. Like I didn't sing that song in particular, but I was singing like show tunes. But I would not smile, and be
Yeah.
like, and she's like, honey, smile, be happy, like, and I was like 7, 8 years old, like stone cold face singing songs on stage and would be like, and walk off. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, yeah, I'm not just this good just because I'm this good. I'm this good because there was a few key people in there that really just helped me become a lot less inhibited.
Yeah.
So, and then further along, fast forward to how I do and just me being an artist, it's like, there's Corey Smith, who was my first manager, and Santa
Mm-hmm.
Gold, who, um, yeah. And like my sister's telling me now, like Settlement Music School. I mean, my
Yeah.
voice
Shout
teacher,
out to them.
he was incredible, like as well. I went from singing show tunes from 7 to about 13 years old, like
Mm.
Stormy Weather, Cabaret, songs that I had no reference point for except, well, Stormy Weather I knew because it was Lena Horne, so my mom made sure I knew that.
Yeah.
But once I got to be 14, I decided, I was like, oh, I don't want to sing these songs anymore. And she's like, oh, well, you should go to Settlement Music School. That was like the thing to do in Philly if you're a vocalist. And I
Yes.
decided to sing jazz or classical. And I said, oh, well, do classical, because jazz, I think you need to like feel it. You need to be a grown woman to do that. And really, I chose classical, and I learned a whole lot of things that I would have never, how to breathe. And so I can even sing anything well, and sing it over and over and over. So because there's a lot of people that sing, but they don't sing properly. And when you don't sing properly, you strain your voice and you get injured.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's not just because of me. Like
Right.
I took voice lessons. I definitely had a talent. I also had my family members that actually wanted me to do this because they saw that I was happy, I guess, as a kid doing it.
Yeah.
Even my brothers and sisters being like, shut up, you can't sing, stop singing. Like, they weren't mean. They just were
Uh-huh.
like, I'm a little, they don't want to hear it. But even that gives you the to say, you know what, I'm going to keep doing it. So later in life, when you got haters, you actually have actual haters, or people telling
Yeah.
you no, you still can walk away and say, well, I'm still good at this, that, or the third. I know that with or without their approval.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all the people in my life is the reason why I'm this good.
Mm.
you know
Hmm. Now, how would you describe your sound? Because it's, when I think back, because the album came out in 2001. So
Mhm.
I'm assuming you were signed, what, 2000, 1999, 2000-ish?
I think 98, 99, I signed my deal, and then by 2001 it was out.
Huh.
And like I signed a deal in 1999, and then we worked on the album. But truth be told, the first demo tape that I made is half of how I do.
Oh, wow. Wow.
you know like the demos are the same. The difference is that when we got to actually getting a real budget and everything, um we said, okay, all these songs are different tempos and different styles and different vibes, and how do we figure this out? So we actually took a lot more time, not writing new songs, but really tweaking the ones that were from the demo that we love so much and that we got such great feedback from, and we changed the tempo. So
Interesting.
Tsunami, Hustler, Sitting Back, them records were done. You know what I'm
Damn.
saying? That was already like that was already done. You know what I mean? And so it's funny how, it works. I just saw I was watching something online, and it was about Billie Eilish. I forget how to pronounce
Yes.
her name. And
Eyeless, I believe. Yes.
yeah, Irish. And she went back to her house where she wrote, her
Hmm.
first album that was incredible, with her brother.
Hmm.
And she went back to her room, and it was in her brother's room where he did all the production and all the vocals. And they mapped it out. They had a whole board with
Mm.
all of the songs in order. Like, they did that whole record by themselves and then just brought it to the label done. So my album wasn't that much done, but it was at least like five or records done that we were really like we used. So
Yeah.
pretty
So, I
interesting.
mean, that time was like peak of artist development. And, there were buckets. You were Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Britney Spears, Brandy, and if you didn't, right, Jessica Simpson, if you didn't fit in those buckets, you didn't get signed. So, how did you package yourself and say, in essence, hey, I'm a dope ass fucking artist and you need to push my shit. You know what I mean? Because I mean, at that time, like labels, like you wanted to be signed if you wanted to be heard. So like, how was that?
Well, my experience is just like everybody else's because it was completely different. Everybody's situation is completely different when they were getting in the game. Britney Spears, she came in the game and her situation was completely different because she was the first blonde pop star on that, And then Jessica Simpson's situation, hers changed because she was the next one. There was already somebody else. And then when Christina Aguilera came through, it was like, okay, her situation now is completely different because she's the third one out, but she's the one that can sing the best.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so with my situation, honestly, I don't know. I think I can't say I don't know how it happened because I was definitely the artist that you didn't think had a major label deal, but I had a major label deal. I didn't have I didn't do anything before then. Like I didn't have a demo. I went to I talked to my childhood friend, one of my friends that really, not even my childhood friend, and she was really the daughter of my dad's lawyer, which was Santi White, Santa Gold.
Yes.
Santa Gold, rest in peace. May have both of our fathers rest in peace. They're not here with us anymore. But they, her dad was a lawyer and my dad needed a lawyer, so that was a relationship. So they just became really good friends and and brought the families together. So we would go on vacations together. I, went to her house for Thanksgiving, slept over a crib. Our families did that. Like the kids in our family slept over their house and stuff like that. So that's how that relationship began. And then a lot of time went by and then I wanted an internship. I was at Temple and I was like, oh, I'm a finance major and I need to get an internship.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, oh, go to my lawyer, go to Ron and talk to him about it. So I went in his office and I was like, I had my outfit on. I'm trying to be all like professional, even though this is like my dad's good friend. And he's like, okay, yeah. I got you on that. I got you on the internship. But and that was a 5-minute conversation. The rest of the conversation was like, so why don't you get with Santi and y'all should hook up because you sing. You always used to sing as a kid. Because I always sang since I was like 8 years old. And he's like, you should hook up with her. She works at Sony. She's like big time working at Sony. And at the time she was interning under the president of the label. Nice. And that's who she was like assisting or something. And he gave her the
there we go. Yeah.
So basically, she said, look, she's the reason why I have a career in this, like, well, how I got my start. She was like, okay, come over to my house and like, let's sing, like write songs and stuff. So she at the time was beginning songwriter, writing songs, playing guitar a little bit. And, but she really couldn't sing that well, but she could write, and she knew all the right people. And, I'm really, really, really honest here, and she was just, and I was like, yeah, I don't write songs, but so I'll sing whatever songs you're writing. Like, they sound good to me. And they didn't sound like anybody's songs, and we just kept going with it. We just pretty much gave each other a chance. I sang the songs she wrote and I tried to improve them as far as melody wise, as, not even knowingly, just trying to sing out what she was trying to sing. And, she kind of instructed me on how she wanted it sang, and we just went back and forth and had like we had songs going back and forth. And then she's like, you need a manager. And I was like, okay. So she's like, all right, we're going to get you a manager. So we went to a couple parties and one night and I met like 2 different people. I met 2 guys. They ended up, this guy named Fa and Spa, and I forget what the other guy's name is. But they ended up at first managing Bilal. But they didn't manage Bilal at the
Oh.
time. Like these two guys that she knew. And I was like, oh, they cool, but I don't know. And then I met this other guy who, when we walked in the building, he was where I'm usually at a party, right behind the DJ, going through the records, like kind of probably getting on the DJ's nerves, trying to tell him what record to play next or suggesting, you know. And I was like, that's the guy I think I want to manage me. And it was Corey Smith, who, you know, he was a great manager, still is a great manager. You know, I think he manages like Vince Staples and Dave Chappelle right now or something, you know. And but at the time, you know, he was just starting out, and he was a Morehouse graduate, and you know,
Hey now.
he had a couple groups under his belt. And you know what, actually, let me stop lying. He wasn't just starting out, because he was managing De La Soul as well at the
Okay.
time. So he, you know, was great, but he just seemed young, you know, like kind of like us, you know. And
Uh-huh.
so it was a great match. And he knew at the time, I thought I was just picking a my manager. Like, all right, you're going to be my manager. Because I don't
Mhm.
have anybody in my family that is in the music industry. Nothing. I'm like a suburban kid, you know, like from the suburbs of Philly, and I just made a demo tape and hanging out with my dad's friend's daughter, you know, who I
Yeah.
who I find hanging out with. And then the next thing I know, he was like, "Oh no!" Like, you know, time had went on, and in hindsight, he said, "You know why I took you on as a client?" And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I asked you to sing a song. We were in Santi's apartment in South Portland in Brooklyn." He's like, "Yeah, I asked you to sing me a song, and you sang a song, and at the time I clearly remember, because it's, you know, a defining moment in my life, you know." And I said to him, I'll sing you the song that I've been just vibing with, and it was "Trust in Me" by Etta James. And when I
Okay.
began to sing it, he just didn't really make any comments and was just like, "Okay, yeah, I'll definitely manage you," and kind of was real chill about it. He was always real chill about stuff, you know. And
Yeah.
in hindsight, it was his mother's favorite song.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
And he was like, "That's why I managed you, because I asked you to sing a song. You were 19 years old, and you sang my mother's favorite song. Like, how am I not managing?"
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good ass story.
that was pretty cool. And but you know, it was, you know, everybody's situation is different. And going back to the question you had before, it's like, yeah, it's not just me of why my music or my career or what I stand for or what I give, what I emote. It's not just me. It was that whole synergy of all those people. You know,
Yeah.
it was the synergy. We were in Brooklyn. You know, this was before I was like wearing my hair like natural. I was like, you know, around all these people that were natural and wearing locks, and you know, they had all graduated college, and you know, I was in college, but they all went to like, well, Santi went to Wesleyan, which is sort of like a predominantly white school, but the rest of
Yeah.
a lot of people living in Brooklyn, like, you know, they were Morehouse kids, and you know, like Coltrane Curtis, I was around Mos Def, he, you know, just different people. And but I was like super quiet and just like looking around and learning, you know. And so, but they definitely influenced me, you know, a lot, from why I like to be natural, or why I eat a certain way. You know, they introduced me to all of that.
Mm.
So prior to that, I went to Temple. I played lacrosse. You know, didn't really care about, you know, my appearance in a sense. Like I was just like, you know, suburban kid, like who cares? And
Uh-huh.
with the class, you know, and then my whole life pretty much changed and influenced by that culture and that vibe that was there in late '90s, early 2000s. Like, so I grew up with people, you know, the people that listen to my music. Like I feel like I grew up with them as well.
Yeah. Why do you think How I Do resonates today? Because, you know, we saw Solange big you up on Black Girls Rock.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, all my friends, shout outs to Steph from the sites, and I know a few other people
Mhm.
in me. We still dig, you know, the sound that was just so unique and whatnot. Like, why do you think, you know, almost 20 years later, it still resonates with folks?
Yeah, we're on the 20th anniversary next year. So
Hey.
yeah, but I think because at the end of the day, it's a great record and it's believable, you know,
Mhm.
and it's not, you know, it blended all of the music that I loved and different genres. And right now, it was almost like an album ahead of its time in a sense, because back then the music industry was definitely pushing you do this type of genre and you always do this genre, and you know, and that album was the opposite. We were able to do that record, and we didn't have a record label, for lack of better words, fucking with us. Like the way things worked out, you know, my manager was friends with the person that ended up being the A&R. We actually put the A&R, his name was Naeem Ali. He's like, you know, doing his thing right now, like been doing his thing. But at the time he was in the marketing department, and we were like, who do we know? Or my management was great. He's like, who do I know that's at Universal and at Geffen or MCA Records? And we knew that Naeem Ali was working in marketing. And we asked if he could move from marketing to being my A&R. And they were like, sure, why not? We don't care. So we were like, cool. So we had everybody in pocket. So we had all the right people in pocket for them to just let us make the music we wanted to make. And they really liked the demos. So if you bring them something that they really like and they're smart and they don't feel like they have to do a job they don't really need to do. Because when you're in art, sometimes you feel like you have to, you know, tell the artist this or else, because you just want to be able to show your boss that you did something, you know? Yeah. We didn't have that. You know, we had Naeem Ali, who was Corey's friend and Santi's friend. And, you know, it was like, you just get the right people in the mix, you can do what you want on somebody else's budget. And that's pretty much what we did.
Yeah.
And that was a magical time. You know what I mean? A magical time, because we had an open budget. They were, you know, we had the right people. Santi, I remember, I'll never forget when I first heard Estero's project.
Oh, I love her. Yes, absolutely.
Because, you know, Santi was working at Sony at Work Group, and she got this record, and she's like, yo, I heard this EP that's about to come out, and I think we should get this guy to produce your stuff. And I was like, all right, well, let's hear it. And it was incredible. It was that, you know, Breath from Another album from Estero. I invite you all to listen to. The person that produced that also produced How I Do, and he went on to produce the first 3 mixtapes for The Weeknd. You feel me?
Wow.
So yeah, it's all like I was lucky. And so then like it's all, a lot of people that worked on this project, even the cover of the album, you know, the cover of the album was shot by Ellen Von Unworth. It was styled by Lisa Cooper, who had that with
Reese. Why are you connected to so many legends? Jesus Christ.
That's what I'm saying. So again, when you say what, Reese, like, do you know that your stuff is legendary? Do you know? It's like it's not just me. Like, it was a team of people that I'm proud to talk about because they did their thing, and I did my thing too. You know what I mean? And it doesn't take away from it. So it's like all it did was add to it. You feel me? So that's what you guys all got, but all you saw was the representative of it, which was Reese, RES, and this girl with these braids, and you know, even Nanja McKenzie, who does a lot of stuff. She's a great Nanja McKenzie. Oh, with the work pump, she work pumped me my video. Her family did it. It was her mom that was her seamstress, her sister that was assistant, her other you know what I mean? Like, it was Nanja McKenzie's like the women in Nanja's family is, you know, the Black women. That's where it was at for They Say Vision. You know, it was Chucky Amos is the reason why I had Double Strand Twins. You feel me? And these are the ones. These are the ones. I mean, I remember doing this show on, you know, I remember I found myself working with Jay Manuel on makeup, you know. I did something, and I did this one article, and Pat McGrath did my makeup. I was like, and I didn't even know what was going on. After the fact, it was like, wow, these are these people, you know? So when you see someone and you see something that really stops time and really, you know, 20 years later, you're still loving this record or into it, you gotta really look, you gotta really check the credits, because it's usually not just the one person. Just like when we all found out with the Lauryn Hills and the D'Angelos, you know,
Yeah.
and then Black Brother uh by by Angie Stone.
Yes.
It's like, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like you know, it's one hand
Mm,
washing the other. It's the team, whether it
yeah.
was marketed that way or not, to market just the pretty face and the girl doing this and that. But now it's a team. It's a team, and I value that team a lot. And I think that had a lot to do with why I don't have a whole lot of music out, and I'm just not emoting all the stuff that I've done, because
Mhm.
I really liked being a part of a team where this person did this and this person did that, and together we all, you know, came
Mhm.
together to have something. Because it's always greater in numbers, you know, it's greater in
Okay.
the, with the
Yeah. Listen, first of all, I know I speak for everyone. We all have fucking chills because that story is insane. But you know, and first I also want to give a quick shout out, a couple shout outs. Shout outs to Kim from Soul Bounce, the most one of the most legendary R&B blogs out. So shout outs to Soul Bounce. Also shout outs
shout,
to
shout
Steve
yeah,
McKay.
shout out to Soul Bounce, because they always promote us, and they always, if I send them something, they always promote it. Definitely shout out to Steve McKay, because
Yes,
he's, you know,
absolutely.
he's like I was just saying, it's like, I don't want to hear about the band. You know, it's like when you have a person that, you know, is kind of like the one man everything, it's like,
Yes.
okay, in this day and age, you know, it's important to have your teammates. He's like the number one teammate, you
Yeah,
know,
and
in
he
2020.
told me like 3 years ago that you two were working on some stuff. So I'm glad that that union is still in place. So I wanna ask. So when you heard Solange big you up on this large platform, how did that make you feel?
I was very excited about it. You know, I like her music. But I like her. You know, I met her a
Yeah,
couple years ago, way before this, when I was living in Los Angeles. And I think it was even before she put out, no, it was after she put out like Haley Street Dreams, that
yes,
album.
had yeah. Hmm.
Put that out, and like she was she had her son, and he was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years old. And she reached out and was like, yo, I want to write songs with you or for you. And
Wow.
there was a miscommunication, because I thought she wanted me to write songs for her. So
Yeah.
she was like, yo, meet me at like the Ivy, this fly restaurant in LA across the street. Like, all right, let's do it, you know? And we sat down, had a conversation, and realized, oh, okay, you want to write songs for me? I thought I was here to write songs for you. And never even happened. But years later, when she moved to Los Angeles again, or for the first time, I don't know how many times, I don't know. I'm
Mhm.
not like being obsessed with it, but she had moved again, and she was like, yo, do you want to hang out? And let me tell you, Solange is cool, because she straight up was like, yeah, let's go to the Björk concert. I was like, we're gonna
Yes.
like, word. Beyond that, she's a great artist. You know,
Yeah.
she's a great, you know, performance artist. I mean, she got style, you know. I felt great about it, because I felt like she's someone that she grew up listening to, you know, my music. She's listened to, you know, my first album, and she was influenced by it. She told me that, you know, I had something to do with her, um, you know, doing the big chop, with her cutting all her hair off, and being natural.
Oh.
And, you know, just, you don't realize your influence just from figuring out how you want to look and how you want to represent yourself. You don't realize all the time how it really does influence people, you know,
Hmm.
and influence other artists. You know, there's a funny thing going, that me, Jill Scott, Cy Smith, like, we all look at each other's like Facebook pages and images to figure out like what hairstyles like we're going for, you know,
Yes.
thing back in the day. And but it's like true. It's like, yeah, we all look at each other's stuff. We all really are fans of each other. And, you know, we all really want to work with each other, I'm sure. And it's just a matter if it happens or not, if the things, you know, work out. But yeah, I'm sure, you know, I was just as surprised and stoked that she mentioned me in such in a big way, and with all these other great artists that I listen to. Like, I love everybody. I love Joe Scott. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? They're just
Now,
cool people.
and before because I definitely want, because I know there's a lot of questions within the chat. So if you guys have some questions, start popping them in. You know, do you hear yourself in modern day R&B?
Do I hear myself in
Yes.
modern day art? Well,
Like, do you
you know,
hear, yeah, your sound?
people tell me that, but
Mm.
like they'll say, oh, you know, but it's really hard. It's that question to best answer it. You ever have somebody say that you look just like somebody they know? And then when you
Yeah,
see that person, I don't look like them.
yeah.
That's that that's it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's I I don't know. I mean, there was one record by SZA that I was like, I'm like, these chords, yeah,
Yeah.
I know these. I heard these chords before. You know what I mean? But
Uh-huh.
I, SZA too. So I'm like, you know, and I know that I've done things that other people have said sounds like their sound. You know, like
Hmm.
I think it was this group called Luscious Jackson. I don't know if anybody really remembers them, but they're a great group. I think it was like a duo of two girls, and I ended up writing songs with them for something, and they were like, "Yeah, we heard your album and we thought you sounded like us," and I was like, "Okay," you know what I mean? But you
Uh-huh.
don't, you know, you don't really think you sound like anybody. You don't really think they sound like you. You always can find the reason why you don't, you know. But
Uh-huh.
I don't think I've heard anybody that's really on the thing that I'm on, you know, or have duplicated it well or mocked it well or, you know, tried. You know, I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't think there's really, you know, and there's other girls that do rock stuff. You know, I feel like in the beginning of my career, it was very much more rock oriented, and I just
Yes.
love all types of music. And but I don't know if anybody's out there. There's a Fifi Dobson, but she's completely different, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think we
you know, I think
needed. But when I think of you, and I swear, y'all, I'm going to get to y'all questions. You know, I think that just thinking back to 2000, 2001, you know, we had kind of did this reinvestment in like funk and soul with D'Angelo and Badu and all of them. You kind of poked the hole in Black folks and rock again.
right. Yeah, you know, I didn't know that was going to happen. I just, we made this album, we made How I Do in a bubble almost. You know, it was with literally like five people that like kind of built it. And then we just hired different, you know, producers and musicians to come play on things to get a certain sound that we already felt like we knew what it was. You know, for us,
Mm,
it was, you know, knocking drums, rock guitars, reggae bass lines. That was like the basic and like weird, random, weird sound, like
yeah.
Outkast. Like we wanted our like in our heads, literally, we would be like, we want our record to sound like Outkast. My record don't sound like Outkast at all.
Right. Right.
That's what we had instead, you know, and you know, so we got the same mix engineer. We were like, oh, we had to get Neil Pope, who did all of Outkast stuff, all of the great records. He even recently has done Tyler the Creator's like new record, you know. But
Hmm.
nonetheless, it's you know what you think you're going in to do and what you come out with and how it affects people. You have no idea, you know. And but it felt really great when I moved to LA the first time, and it was time for me to get a band, and I had band auditions, and all these black rock dudes showed up. Like I
Yeah.
know what it is. And then when I started meeting them, like people like Fish from Fishbone or Norwood, you know, Norwood and Fish, the two founders of Fishbone, you know, they were like, yo, we got spit on because for you to be able to do this. You know, we
Hmm.
got we weren't supposed to do this kind of music. And when we saw your video on TV, we were like, oh, we were blown away. Even the guys from Living Color, they were like, yo, you're you know, they were just so happy because I was at a level of being on a major label and I was a brown skin girl that looked and acted like she wanted to be a brown skin girl and do this kind of music. You know,
Yeah.
it was obvious that you know, I like me and I like being, you know, this black girl. And I'm not trying to whitewash myself just because I'm singing a song that's a little bit more rock. And I think, I'm really glad that's what came across. And I'm really glad that's what I see when I look at it 20 years later. Because I've
Mm,
seen even the other, I mean, for lack of better, we all seen the controversy, with the whole Doja Cat thing. And it's kind of
yeah.
like sad. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it seems like sometimes we don't know ourselves, so we don't do justice to ourselves. And I don't know. I think that didn't come across with me,
Yeah.
at that, even though I
Yeah.
was doing something no one, you didn't really see you know, a black girl doing it like that, a brown
Yeah.
skin, with brown skin dudes in her band doing it. And they're not just stand-ins. It's like, no, it's Fish and Fishbone playing. Like,
Hmm.
cause that's what this is. And even the set, the album was one thing, but the live show was way more for rock and roll and driving. And but with Black Rock, we can go into reggae, we can go into R&B, we can go into all these things because that's nothing
It's
but a
our
thing,
privilege, right? Yes.
you know. And a lot of people commend me for it, and they're glad that that album pushed those limits, and they're glad that the marketing was like that, and they're glad that I had that outfit on and didn't have straight hair or didn't this and that, you know. And I don't regret it. I don't
Listen,
regret
some of
it.
the best visuals to this day, as the meme goes. But I want to get into these questions because there's some good ass questions. Uh,
Yes.
we have to start with y'all. Bet first of all, I'm going to turn this question to a statement. Y'all better do something for the 20th anniversary.
We are definitely, like, I already had them. I already talked to the people that own the label, that own the album. Like, at this point,
Okay.
just to be clear on everything, like, when you sign to a major label, they are giving you all the money you need to do an album. All the money
Hmm.
you need to do the album at that point did not just include, the microphone, the studio time, and the producer. It includes when I feel like moving back and forth across the country, the car that I need to drive. Oh, I spent all my money, so I need some more. Oh, I want to go on vacation. Oh, I need to live here now. Like, when they pay for all of that, like they did for me, it's like, yeah. And just in general, when you sign whatever kind of paperwork you sign, you got to know what you're signing. That's why they technically own that album. They paid for
Yeah.
it. And I didn't
Interesting.
receive the money that they put in, and they marketed it. So they technically own the album. So I had to go back to them to talk to them about what we were going to do about the 20th anniversary. And I actually hit them up in just the right time. And, I had to go get things out of the vault, and I'm still in the process of doing stuff, but we're definitely going to do a re-release for June 26, 2021. And know that that's the same day that Alicia Keys released her album as well, her first album.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And no, this is another thing that I was surprised that recently she came out with a book, and it said like
Yes.
something horrible about she didn't feel comfortable shooting with certain photographers and things, and she felt like it wasn't herself. I'm in that same issue. Like,
Yeah.
I remember, like, I did a couple of shoots with her in the very beginning because we were on that same page of releasing an album at the same time. She was signed to Clive Davis. And
Yes.
so, and it was interesting because, yeah, she's right. Like that, we, like, people did not feel comfortable at that shoot. But my manager wasn't really playing. He was from Harlem, so
Hey.
it wasn't too much of that. Let me put it that way. You kind of know who you pushing
Yeah.
with. I was
Yeah.
lucky that I signed my deal at 21 years old, and then I
Hmm.
didn't come out with the album until 23. So
Okay.
there's a lot of people that signed deals at 13. There was like Brandy signed at like 11. You know what I mean? Put an album
Right.
out at
Yeah.
13. You don't even know who you are at that point. You don't even know what
Mm-mm.
you go for. By the time I was 21, I knew that some random white dude that I just met was not going to take any old kind of picture.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I knew that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I knew if it went wrong, then like Lamont was coming for that. You know what I mean? That was my
Hmm.
father. So I kind of
Hmm.
already knew, like, I'm not going to even put somebody in the position for my father to come up here and have to check him. You get what I mean? So it's like certain things ain't even down. And my manager knew that too. So it was like he knew like, oh wait, this is not. But you know, I'm in the art magazine too, and it is more of a sexy picture. But my situation wasn't that. But she's absolutely right in that you know that guy was kind of creepy.
Oh hell.
That's just a random fact. I'm sorry to get off the subject.
No,
But
listen. That now we have a couple questions about. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. Tell me the question.
So there's a couple. We have a couple questions about songs on How I Do, and we got 10 minutes left. Oh my god. So the first thing.
700-mile situation. Yeah, that song. Yeah. No, yeah, that song. The story is I was dating a person. It's written about you know, the person I was dating, and they were living in Atlanta, going to like Clark in Atlanta, and I was living in Philadelphia, and it's approximately 700 miles, and like
Wow.
like super literal, you know. I was traveling a lot back and forth to visit this person. Um, you know, that's what it's about. You know, I literally painted a silhouette on my wall one day of me and the person like facing each other because there was a candle up in my New York apartment with him, and I had a candle lit, and the candle like casted this shadow of me on you know, sitting on my bed like kneeling, and it casted like a shadow of me, and he saw it, and I was like, oh, trace it, because it was like my first apartment. I draw on the walls. I'm a kid that grew up being able to roller skate in their house. You know what I mean? So my parents were like freelancing. So I decided I was like, oh, draw it. And I just stood there, and they, you know, they outlined it. And then I told him to do the same thing facing me, and he did. And I outlined his, and then later I just painted it in the painted it. So on my bed, right against like the side wall, was literally like the wall closest to the bed was the silhouette of us facing each other. And so, you know, and that song is about him, you know, blah blah blah. So, you know, and we're, you know, we're still friends to this day.
You know, the person who asked that went to Clark, so that's some funny as shit.
Oh, they probably know him. They probably know him.
Shout out to stuff. So also, did you know they say Vision would be as so the question says as big as it was, but I will also say as impactful as it was.
No, I didn't have any of that stuff on my mind. I never was an artist before. Like I was just like, you know, a person like coming to make a demo. I made a demo, and that was as much of an artist I was. So I didn't even at first feel comfortable saying that. I was like, no, I'm a singer. And they'd be like, you're an artist, Reese, and I'd be like, yeah, and I sing, because I wasn't even there yet with it. It was something that I into being into even acknowledging that I was an artist. You know, up until that point, singer. So we just were going to the studio every day in New York, and I lived in downtown Manhattan. Doc had rented an apartment around the corner. We would meet at this like at the corner of my block, and then hop in the cab and go to the studio. And you know, we did that until the album was done, and then we had like 2 weeks more to go, so we had to leave the studio and go to Toronto to finish it. But you know, I was not that like, oh, this song is gonna do this, this song is gonna do that. I was just like, this is a dope job. I live in New York now. I got my own apartment. Like I'm not in school. Like this is gonna be great. I didn't think of anything past that. I didn't think of anything of that stuff.
We can feel the freedom in that album, and we really appreciate that. Another question is, I think I saw this, which is your documentary that premiered at Black Star. Is it available anywhere?
Well, this is the thing that it sucks because at the time it's a great documentary. Like shout out to Steve Zegans, who he's the everything man on it. You know, Steve Zegans is a great videographer and a storyteller, and he really did a great job. And we just felt like at the time that it needed to hit at the right time. It was
Yeah.
like you did a documentary out and you don't have this going on. It was like my dots weren't connecting. I had all these different things, but the dots weren't connecting. And as far as having a, how are we going to promote it? Having the money to market it, having the music come out, getting this approval and that approval. So at the time, we just kind of sat on it. He kept tweaking it and making it better and better, and we kept shooting and shooting. And then, unfortunately, one of the main people that's in the film is Talib Kweli, and we're not really like, we don't work together anymore.
Yeah.
So it became a thing of like, okay, how that, what do you do when, you can't release it unless you have that person's okay until they sign off. And he's not going to sign off. So it's needs to either be completely done again or completely reworked, and we just haven't readjusted that yet. But it's an hour long, and I don't know. Maybe it can get leaked. I don't know.
Let's speak that to existence. And I know some folks who are around, who always are around Black Star. Work your magic, y'all.
Right? Just get it in the mail, in the email, and just put it up. But it basically it's from a certain like 2 or 3 years of my life, and it documents literally what you have to do as an independent artist. It literally shows me saying, okay, I'm gonna bootleg my album and I'm pressing it up, and this is how I'm pressing it up. And I'm, that year I didn't have any management. I didn't have anybody helping me. And I literally did Black Girls Rock pretty minus the graphic designer who is like my savior, Chris Lyons. It was just me doing it. Like me and Chris met each other via MySpace. That's how random that was. And he sent me just visuals of his work and samples of his work. And I was like, oh, you're totally going to do the cover. And just out of a labor of love, he did that amazing cover. And I pressed it up and I pressed posters up, and and that's what was documented, as well as the series called Reset that I did in Philadelphia that promoted myself as well as other female songwriters and singers. And we did that for about a couple of months. But that was done, well after the album. And my partner at the time, that's like, once the album was done, I started getting like, help. I just feel like in general, once you do as much as you can for yourself, that's when you start getting people that want to help, and Chris Lyons came about, Davida Pitts came, and she, those were 2 key people who helped me tremendously as far as social media, as far as marketing, promotion, and having a quality project and a product that looked as good as the music sounded. And that was so important, so important, because I felt like I had a high bar from my How I Do days. I shot with like I shot with Mark Baptiste, Patrick Desmarchais, Ellen Von Unworth. I shot with photographers that were amazing. So I didn't want to just put out any old thing. I didn't want to just get any old picture of me and try to doctor it up. So I fortunately hooked up with a woman named I'm like, I hope I don't mispronounce her name. She has a new book out called Street Style. Her name is Solange. I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name. Seleh. And she has a book out right now. She takes a lot of pictures for, and she took the cover for me. And it was just an important time. Like, those people came and at the top of their game, and they worked with me, and we created that album, the vision and marketing for that album. And but in the beginning, it was just all me trying to figure it out. Trying to get songs on radio. It was hard, but but it was great, because there's one of the songs that did very well off of that album is called For Who You Are. And to date, it's my biggest record. Like, it has like 7 million spins on YouTube. It's my biggest record. I literally, me and literally like 4 other people made that happen. So it was pretty cool to look back on.
Yeah. I have a question, because would you, because we have about a minute and a half left before Instagram kicks us off. Would you mind just coming back for like another like 10-15 minutes?
I mean, yeah,
Because
yeah, let's do it.
there's some more questions that people want to ask, and also I want to give you an opportunity to let people know how they can support you and whatnot.
Absolutely, because we're gonna do a live stream probably in an hour or so, like after this. So I want everyone to come. So everybody, we're gonna go off, right, and then come back on.
Yes. Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you. One of the questions that came up during our previous hour was, how have you been able to make it as an independent artist for 20 years, really off the strength of one major release?
Well, it takes a lot of it. Well, okay, so I have this album, but what I did is when times got tough, I said, okay, who can I like work with, or the one good thing is that once when I was signed and I was signed to a major label, there's so many things that you can do to make money that are behind the scenes, that basically, like, the music industry can keep you working and keep you paid if it wants to. Like, you can do private parties, for like record company people, or for like MTV, or for, this place and that person. I did some of that kind of work. I did soundtrack work. They put songs of mine on soundtracks, or they asked me to sing songs that ended up going on. Like, I have a song that I wrote that's on the Aquila and the Bee soundtrack. That was kind of random. I had something on Time Out with Denzel. I have a song in Made in Manhattan. It's like random songs, but you actually like make a lot of money doing those. Like, at least in that day, like, if you put a song and it gets in a movie, that's at least like $25,000, for something that you like already did. So I did soundtrack work. But when I felt like I had no wins, and I was like, man, I'm on my, like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know how I'm even doing this. And I got bills and I got this, and I didn't want to compromise and just like do whatever for whatever. I would work, I would start doing commercial work, singing jingles. At one time, I didn't do too much of it, but I like worked at like Equinox Gym for like 3 months of my life.
Wow.
And it's like, I was the type that I didn't want to have a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to Starbucks. You know what I mean? So I did the job at Equinox for 3 months just so they could know that like I could pay rent, and I would at an apartment building. Like, sometimes when you're an artist and you have a different way of making money, and you don't have W-2s and W-9s and all that kind of stuff, they want you to have any job. They don't care what it is, as long as it's something on paper. They'd rather have that. So I was like, okay, I'll get a part-time job just so I can get an apartment now. It was like that kind of thing. And then I quit. I've done things, I've trimmed marijuana, you know what I'm saying, for weeks at a time in Humboldt County. Like, I was doing whatever. But then I also had times, like I said, where I did, commercial work and singing jingles and, helping people, assisting people doing creative things like video shoots, or, a commercial, or, I was doing that kind of like pickup work. I come from a family of hustlers, so it's not, like, it's like, I need money, I'm gonna get money, and I would love to sing. Sometimes people would hit me up and they would say, oh, will you do a song with, like, my fans, and I'm like, okay. I'm not in that position now. I'm in a much better position now, but those are the things that you do to keep yourself going. For me, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to sing, and I didn't want to spend more of my time doing something for somebody else than, for my own.
Yeah.
So I would do, and then you get those calls out the blue. Like, I sang backgrounds for Gnarls Barkley,
Oh.
I did that for about 2.5, 3 years. I was the background singer for CeeLo, and for Gnarls Barkley, really, for Gnarls Barkley for the Saint Elsewhere tour. with Crazy. I did the MTV Movie Awards. Like yeah, it's me. I just changed my hair. I'm a chameleon. I changed my hair. I was like, oh, this is gonna be my time. I can put a weave in. I put a weave in my hair. I was like, oh, I'm gonna this is different. Like, there's sometimes you wanna look like yourself, and sometimes you wanna play a part. And I had a great time singing backgrounds for Gnarls Barkley.
Was that your first background gig, or was that
was my first
wow.
My first background gig ever. And I was nervous. I came there with like stacks and stacks of notes. Okay. I was like, how do people learn background vocals? I had no idea because I never did it. And I was like praying. I was the exact height as the first background singer they hired. The same weight. She was white. I was black. And then they had Mente, who was CeeLo's best friend. And the three of us were singers, and we were all the same height. So when you look at MTV Music Awards, Gnarls Barkley, when they dressed up like Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm one of the background singers in the jumpsuit, in the orange jumpsuit. When you look up on YouTube, Gnarls Barkley at Abbey Road, that's me. Oh, they're all gonna smile at you. They're all gonna smile at you. Singing smiley faces. It was like, we dressed up in crazy costumes. We traveled the world and we sang. So there's a lot of different things that you do when you want to keep doing your thing. I wrote songs for people. I recorded songs for people. Just reference songs. I did little modeling gigs. Like for clothing companies and stuff like that. And sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't, but you still get paid for doing that work, Yeah. So I have a kind of interesting road. And, now I'm in Philly and back in my hometown, and, we're about to start it all up again. You guys will see in the next hour or so, you'll hear new songs. I got new records that I've been doing with Steve McKee. I have my records that I love to do, the classics, and with new songwriters. I have a whole nother album done. Like I've done a lot of stuff, but it's just about when you put it out, how you put it out. And for me, I just really, 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 really like my work to be supported properly. It's like, I don't want to eat. I don't want to eat on the floor. I want to eat on a plate.
Yes.
So. Yeah. Food on a plate. I don't want it on the floor. So it's like, I'm not easily ready to just release stuff just to release it, because I feel like the music I make, there's no real time frame. If you like it, you don't like it today, you're going to like it the day I did it, you're going to like it a month later, you're going to like it 3 years later, you're going to like it 20 years later.
Yeah.
So I never really pressed, in that respect to just release, because I feel very confident in the music that I make and with the people that I make it with, that whenever it comes out, it's going to be right on time,
Yeah. Jill Scott calls herself a stew, meaning like she needs to simmer and be seasoned and, let time really do the important work. So I totally feel that. So I know you've been back in Philly for a year or a couple years or so.
Yeah, I've been here for about like since 2017.
So 2017, like what is it really like being back? So like you've been here going 3 years plus. Like what new energy do you feel from the city?
Well, Philly's never been a town that it's a crazy dope music town, but for me, It's never been the town I had my most success in. Yeah. I always somewhere else. Like I worked with Santi but in New York. Santi's from Philly, and she's married, but we were in New York doing everything and with people from New York. So I never really felt at home musically in Philly until most recently. A few years ago, because I just didn't have roots here in that respect.
Yeah.
But I'm here I'm going to be here. Like this is my hometown. I want to live here. I'm not interested in living in any other place. And I feel like everything that I need musically is here. Like I think that now. There was a time where I didn't think that. You know, I thought everyone made the same type of music here. I didn't like the fact that it was like a straight click situation. Like if you're not messing with, you know,
Yeah.
the roots, if you're not in a crew, then like what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't like that stuff. I don't like the click mentality. So I just was like, oh, I'm gonna just Jordan over them. And so I just went to another city and you know, and now I'm realizing like all the gems, all the great musicians, all the great songwriters, a lot of the people who are all over the world on like the biggest platforms, they actually are from Philly, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost like a refreshing new thing for me to be here and to make music here. And it's like, I don't want to go anywhere else now.
Listen, Philly, you know, do you think Philly gets its credit as a music city?
Absolutely. Where everywhere I go, people say, they're like, oh, you from Philly? Like, oh, y'all gets it in down there. Like everybody knows Philly all over the world. Like,
Yeah.
don't even let anyone tell you we don't get respect all over the world. We do.
Interesting.
Musically, we do. Because we can shout out like every era. We can go back to, you know, classical music and talk about Marian Anderson
Yes.
if you want to go. And then we can go forward and we can talk about Tara Wack.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We could roll back and talk about the Roots and Jill Scott, and then we can even go back and talk about, you know, Patti LaBelle, Kenny Gamble.
Yeah.
But then we can also talk about the Disco Biscuits and like that whole jam band scene and how
Yeah.
we got that on too. And, you know, and then the DJ situation. DJs are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then we got the whole slew of drummers that are just crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then we got the whole slew of rappers that are dope. You know? So I think I've never been to a place, said where I'm from, and they were like, "Oh, you're probably not that good." Like, never.
Listen, that's good to know because you know I believe what Jason Kelsey said after we won the Super Bowl that Philly thinks of themselves as underdogs instead of champions, and we don't talk about ourselves as a world class city. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that you told us that.
Yeah, we may not talk about it because if you're from Philly and you're in Philly, it's like, all right, you know, it's only about certain much bragging you should be doing.
Yeah.
But when you're out of Philly, it's like, no, we get our respect. We get our respect. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good to know. So, I mean, cause damn it, cause I now I got tons of more questions. Okay, so let's gather my thoughts. Okay, so what is Reese, the eclectic Reese? What is Reese listening to right now?
I'm listening to, honestly, I listen to a lot of music that that Steve McKee makes, you know,
Yeah.
because that's who I'm around. It's like the people that I work with, you know, I listen to their music. Um, I listen to just songs. I'm a song person, so there's songs that I want to hear. You know, there's a song by called "Lost for Now" that I'm obsessed with. It kind of sounds like a country song, you know, called "Lost for Now" by Bilal. You guys should definitely listen to that.
Yes.
But also, you know, I just started listening to Janae Aiko.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like now, like I, you know, experienced her in the beginning, tossed her off as a girl that just was cute and couldn't sing.
Mm-hmm.
And then now she sound, maybe she always could. Maybe I just saw a bad video, you know. But now I'm so into it. Like I like the whole vibe of that kind of R&B, you know. Of course I love Stevie Nicks. I like good songs, you know. I love but who's new? Like I like SZA.
Mm-hmm.
I like Janae Aiko. I like Snow Allegra.
Yes.
Um, I like I don't know, there's a lot of people, but I'm, you know, right now I'm just like trying to figure out the whole performing thing online. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of more into, you know, that and trying to just get better with that more than listening because I'm not really writing new songs right now. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I really want to give you like a good 30 minutes to set up for your set. And good God, if there's some good questions
Well,
in here.
if it ends up being a little later, it's a little later, but
Okay. So here's a really good question. And I mean, we saw the Me Too movement. You kind of talked about it in the first hour about the predatory uh, behavior that you've seen. Like, what would be your advice to women breaking into the industry, who are dealing with these really tricky situations?
honestly, I would try to seek out as many women producers as you can. Like,
Mm,
just why not? You
mm,
know, you know, men are great, women are great, but at the same time, it's like you just want to be around someone that is compassionate towards what you're doing and really is into to the art that you're trying to accomplish,
yeah.
and pretty much everything else, and it's hard. It's hard to determine who are the great, the good people to work with and the bad, and
Mm-hmm.
you kind of just have to kind of be open-minded and just go for it sometimes. But I think that's what I wish I spent more time doing, was actually seeking out more women that do this,
Yeah.
more women that, because I think you just don't have to deal with a lot of BS, you know.
What women should we, from a production standpoint, should we be looking into?
Producers, engineers, women that that'll record you, um, you know, um, women that work at studios,
Yeah. Are they?
other women that are musicians, other guitar players, like seek them out. We
Yeah.
need to seek each other out a little bit more,
That's
I think,
good.
and I think
Yeah.
that would change a lot of the conversations and a lot of the vibe and energy and and music. It'll probably make it
Mm-hmm.
even better. You know,
Mm.
it's nothing like being completely comfortable in a situation and not feel like you have to go somewhere dressed up or go somewhere with makeup on, or go somewhere looking a certain part and having to dig deep in your feelings to come up with a song. Like that's a lot,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And but that's the pressure that a lot of women are under when we're going to work or we're going to record. It's almost like you start. For me, it's like you realize that you think it's like when you have money and you have a budget, that's a whole nother dynamic of a certain type of people that you're going to work with and why they're going to work with you when that's pretty much what you're paying your way, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the aspect of that women have to deal with, that it's like you're an object to them. They like looking at you. That's it, and just be confident in who you are and don't necessarily play it up. Don't play the role, because a lot of times we play the role so we can get the job done, and it's most times you would rather it stop before it got even further,
Yeah.
before you put more energy into it or did all these songs. Like I've had so many producers do music with me, and I guess they just were never interested in putting it out. You know, it's just it just got done because they wanted to sit and look at you for 5 hours
Mm-hmm.
that day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so and know, most importantly, that then this goes across the board. More than anything, don't be afraid to network across. Don't
Ah.
always think you have to look up to network, you know, or someone else up there is going to get. It's usually people that you started with. Those are the ones that are actually on your level. Those are the ones that you get better together, you get better together, you get better together, and then one day you guys are all there.
Mm-hmm.
Like network across more
Mm.
than looking up for someone to do something for you.
Yeah. So again, just to kind of bring it back to Philadelphia, and Marla, thank you for that question and this question. You've been here, you've been back in Philly going on 3 years. Like, where does Reese hang out? Like, where can we find Reese at any random moment? Like, what are your favorite places?
I like to go to. I'm a beach girl, so you can find
Oh,
me in Rehoboth Beach. You can find me at the Jersey Beach.
yes.
Uh, find me, I'm a foodie as well. So if it's like, the new restaurant, I'm trying to go there. I'm trying to check it out. Right now, I like to go to like a club called Time. I like to hear,
Yes.
so there's a place called Time. I like to go there. And
Yes.
yes, I mostly will see me at home because I am a
Yes.
homebody. And
Yes.
it's weird. Like I like to go out when I'm not home, when I'm in another city. That's when I
Hmm.
like to go out. Or I have the excuse of like, oh, well, I'm a singer, and if I'm singing, and then I'm at a club there. But back in the day, I would go to like Bahama Bay, Gotham.
Yes.
Like I was in, like yeah, I was like in the clubs, like sweating out my little like outfit that I got at that like 14.99, like the little cute like half top and no
Yes.
skirt type of thing. And yeah, it was just yeah, I just like good restaurants. I'm a foodie. I like going to the pier, Penn's Landing,
Yeah.
Cherry Street Pier too. You'll see me there. Art museums. I love art museums. So I'm always at like an art museum or at an art class. Sometimes
Hmm.
I'll take an art class at the Fleischer Memorial,
Yes.
in South Philly.
Uh-huh.
Right now, you probably see me like I wouldn't want you to see me here because I'm like trying to catch my breath and run. But
Yes.
me and Steve run at the like along the river. When
Yes.
it's not like
Uh-huh.
a gazillion people out there.
Right.
With our
Yeah.
masks on, and Valley Green, and I'm an outdoorsy person when it's summertime, either the beach or I'm trying to exercise. Right now, I'm just exercising because it's like, you know, what else is there to do?
Right. That's all
And
we
I'm in
can
Walmart buying appliances.
do. Uh-huh.
I
The
just bought
funny
a
thing
deep.
is, you probably don't remember this, but we met. This had to be like 6, 7 years ago, and it was at Stacy Fly. It was at Fly Girl's party at Trilogy. So Lord knows this was like again, right. And so you were walking down the steps. Trilogy has like them 3 floors and big as all hell. And you were walking down the steps, and I was talking to my friend. I was like, I think that's Reese. And I was like, I walked up to you and said, has anybody ever told you that you look like Reese? And you were like,
People
I
always
am
say that.
Reese.
People always say that. It seems like, but you know what? I'm glad you said it on a day where I probably tried to look like something, because I feel like on the days where I look horrible, people are like, "Oh my God, you're Reese," and then the days when I'm like trying to look like something, they're like, "You know what? You kind of look like that girl," and I'm like, "I am that girl." But
Mhm.
it's always flattering for people to like say hi, or I don't know. It's just flattering because it's just always unexpected. It's just
Mm.
totally unexpected. So it reminds me like, oh, I did something great at one. I'm doing something great. I'm this person.
Well, it shouldn't be, because I hopefully you got through, over because I definitely got this, and hopefully you did too, that you are really loved, Reese, and us as Philadelphians and people from all over the world who are joining in. I think we're all tuning in and listening because we really freaking love you, and we love the ground that you break. We love the music that you continue to make. We love the stories that you were able to share, and we really, really, really appreciate it. And it didn't take Solange almost 20 years later to say it, because we are here, and we really just want to me on behalf of everybody in chat just want to tell you how much that we love and appreciate you.
I, I appreciate it, and every time I do a show and people are there and they're smiling and they're listening, and that's for me. That's how I feel it. I feel it too. So and all the comments, and like every time someone comments, like I read the stuff on Facebook, I like in my inbox and stuff, like it's really me answering. Um, so I read it. If I don't even respond, but you said that you've seen that I've read it, I've
Yeah.
read it. And so it doesn't go, it's not a breath wasted, put it that way. Like I
It's
really do. Yeah, I really do appreciate it, because I see how artists get it. And there's people that will run up to people like, I hate you, and why did you do that? So I know I maybe it did something kind of right. And if that's hey, if that's my legacy, either you don't know me or you love it, I'm cool with that. I'm very cool with that. Very
well,
cool.
Most of us love it. We're not even going to deal with the people who don't. We love it. And if you don't mind just telling us, because again, you have a concert happening in 30 minutes and that we will all be tuning into. You know, tell us how we can support you.
Well, right now, I think the best way is a couple of ways. So, you know how you have to do stuff first so people can and put yourself in the position to be helped.
Yeah.
So I'm this, we set up, me and Steve, really Steve sets up a lot of the music for my live streams, and
Hmm.
that's pretty much the best way to support. We put our cash app down there and we're like, yeah, we graciously are accepting tips. And right now I'm working on some merchandise so you guys can buy and represent, and those are the best ways, like that. Going on Spotify, playing the records, playing the songs, playing the live streams, showing up to something like this. Anything that I'm doing, if you just support it by showing that you're there, by giving a heart, giving a like, giving a tip, telling other people, because word of mouth is real, like telling
Yeah.
other people about it, going back to my old catalog, trying to find out about Refried Mac, um,
Mhm.
showing up to a show if you think it's me, all that kind of stuff, like all of it. It's so many ways to support an artist. It's insane, so I appreciate what people do. I appreciate the feedback. You know that's the way it is for me right now.
Well, we
So we're
will.
gonna do this, live show. I haven't done it on a schedule yet, but I'm pretty sure I will be soon, because we're
Mhm.
just kind of making sure that the sound is right and the lighting is right, and
Yeah.
everything, and it's getting right. So, we're going to show you. I figured why not do a live show right after this,
Yeah.
and for you guys. So, because that's what I do. You don't want to hear me talk all the time. So,
Well,
mm.
we want to hear you talk more. This was and somebody, I think it was Marla who said this is a master class. Oh my God, yes. I think you spoke about establishing a great team. You talked about the hustle and the struggle in this industry. You hit on so many things that I think you just you hit some nails in people. So thank you so much. I really
And
appreciate this.
one last thing though, with that, the
Sure.
one thing I didn't say is the big C is confidence. You have to be confident in yourself.
Mm,
Like being an artist, no time for low self-esteem, like at all. None.
hmm.
You cannot have it. Like you might as well kick it out the window. You have to be confident, even if you feel like you're faking it. Trust me, if you fake it long enough, you will start acting it and being it. You have to be confident, because there's so many times I wanted to give up. So many times I've even said out of my mouth that I was stopping and I'm not doing this, but I just knew I was good.
Mm,
So it was like, nah, I'm not giving up. Like, I guess I'll try it again. And music hooks you. Like once you feel so good doing something and you're in your zone and you see how happy everybody else is, and it's like that's the thing that like hooks you in and hooks you in, and that's the same thing that keeps you going, because you're like, no, no, like, but so and so said this, or I read this, or someone liked this, or I had somebody at the point when someone hit me up on MySpace. I mean, the letter was like this long on MySpace, and
mm,
basically the person was saying how, how when you have a song that plays in your head all day long, you cannot get this song out of your head for no reason. For no reason, you have it in your head. He was on his rooftop waiting for rescue for days because it was Katrina. Katrina had just popped off, and he
mm.
said that he could not get my song and my voice, because when it's that song in your head, you hear that song, you hear that person singing it, like you hear that recording or whatever. And he
Hmm.
said he was laying on the rooftop for he didn't know how many days it was, and he could not get the song out of his head. And he was like, that that passed so many hours of my life, and it just helped me so much. And I just want to tell you, because I had the opportunity to tell you on MySpace. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, if someone's telling me that, like, yeah, I'm supposed to do this. Like, I gotta do something. I may not be doing it. I may have to take a break, a 2 week, 3 week, you know, cry to myself week. But stuff like that is what gets you like, no, it's bigger than you, you know?
And the funny thing is, I was going to close this out by asking you how you are grounded in what kind of firms up your confidence, but I think you just said it right then and there.
Oh yeah, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. You when people tell you good things about yourself, sometimes you just have to believe them, and it's okay. It's not stuck up. It's not too like you too this and too that. It's like you can just choose to believe them and ride off of that, you know. Hence the cloud.
Like we're saying hi, right?
All the hearts are lifting me.
Right.
I'm in the clouds.
But thank you so much again. Because Reese has to, get ready and get pretty-fied for her show. So, thank you so much. We will be on Reese's Live at 10 o'clock for the after show. And I do hear that, Marla. Thank you. So thank you so much, Reese, for your time, your energy, your stories. We really appreciate you. And I can't wait to see you in person when we can finally get CDC approval to hug to finally be there for the first time. So
I know. I'll see you like somewhere. So thank you guys for all tuning in. And yeah, join me on my live at the one Reese. Maybe in the next like 20 to 30 minutes, whenever we get it set up, but we should have it set up soon. And I'm not going to be doing songs from Refried Mac just because I'm not prepared to do it. We have to do some stuff like in the studio before we can do every song, but that's on the list for like next week. So, but we're going to do like a solid hour, you know.
Child, we don't care. We're grateful for whatever you give us. And I'm sure I spoke for the rest of us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and hopefully we can talk about other things soon.
Yes, listen, anytime you want to do something, hit me up, seriously. And I've said that to any artist that has come on. If anything you guys need, we are here to support you guys and to help you let the fans know what you're doing. So we appreciate it.
I appreciate you too, and thanks for having this platform.
Of course. So thank you so much. I'm closing this out. See y'all at 10 at Reese.
Like you said, and the church said amen.
Okay. Bye.